Hello there, welcome back to my channel 3D Creation with Blender. I'm Daniel Gordillo and this is the third video in the series about opening and remaking old files in newer Blender versions. And this time I want to talk about UV unwrapping and texture painting and displacement maps. Okay, so first thing we need to do is to unwrap a proper UV layout. You can see here I'm experimenting, making some seams and unwrapping the mesh to see if the result is good enough to work with. It's not there yet, so I'm going to try another layout. I'm going to make the cut higher because all of this area is going to be covered by hair, so the seam will be hidden below. Okay, I guess that's it. Once I'm satisfied with the UV layout, I can now enter texture painting mode. You can see that I already loaded a texture with some RGB noise I added using GIMP, just to have something as a starting point. I also import some other textures to use as brushes. But before I start to paint, I need to define my color palette. I'm using the new palette system, which is very easy to use. And now I'm testing my texture brushes. If our brushes are grayscale images and we want to use them as alpha maps, we need to click on the Calculate checkbox in the Texture tab in the Properties panel. The invert option will let us use the light or dark values of the brush as transparency. Okay, now I'm really starting to put some color in the scar's neck and eyes, just general texturing and coloring. I am not doing any detailed stuff for now. Sometimes you'll need to change the multi-resolution levels to check how the texture is going. Working on high levels might leave some faces untouched. So remember to check the model on high and low resolutions from time to time. Now I'm using the draw brush on add mode to create some volume. I still have to mix the other texture maps over this first layer. Cavity map, ambient occlusion map, specular map, all that. I almost forgot about the normal map. I gotta import that one too. Changing the display mode from solid to texture or material views, it also helps to find errors or areas that need more work. The material view is especially useful for that. Now I can get into the details, refining the texture and working on scars, boils and all the rest of gross deformities. Let's open the UV editor to check the texture. We can keep painting over the model or in the editor, depending on our needs. Okay, let's change the display mode to rendered to check the real-time preview and see how it's our texture doing. So far it's looking good. I like to start painting the diffuse map with cold bluish tones, because later it will be mixed with a subsurface scattering layer, and that layer will have some warm tones, so we need to balance the final tone, looking to compensate both layers. Now I'm using the Displace modifier to get the detail from the high poly model into the low poly version. This time I made 5 displacement maps with different color depths and file types. I use EXR and different combination of PNG files. I used to think an 8-bit PNG will give the same result than the 16-bit files. Guess what? It's not. In this case, we don't see a smooth transition, but a lighter displacement, especially if we use high levels in the subdivision modifier. You'll see the 16-bit per channel image has a lot more color information than the 8-bit one. Pretty obvious, right? But we can see those extra colors. When that color data is used to produce different heights in a plane, we realize the gaps between colors in the 8-bit image. So the best in quality and size is the 16-bit grayscale PNG. And now let's see other image maps I baked from the high poly model. The first is the ambient occlusion map. All maps were baked using cycles, except for the displacement map. Then comes a cavity map. I got that using the dirty vertex option in vertex paint mode. Next Blender version has a new feature that will make this map unnecessary. And finally the normal map. Now I need to put all this in my skin material. To add some random tones to the skin shader, I'm importing a special node from one of my previous models. It's a procedural noise texture simulating skin color variation. I'm going to mix this noise texture with the diffuse map using the multiply option. Okay, let's get into it. First, I need to duplicate this image node to add ambient occlusion, cavity, normal, and specular maps. This is only the diffuse map in the render preview. Now I'm adding the normal map node and connecting it to the glossy and diffuse shaders. Next, I need to add the ambient occlusion and cavity maps to darken some areas of the model. Let's duplicate this color mix node. And there you go. We get some dirt in the model cavities. But it needs to be more subtle. Let's tone it down. We will need to adjust the colors a bit so the dirt and the shadows are not plain black. Once we have all our textures in place, we can go back to the texture paint mode. We will have more paint slots now as images in our node 3. With the new painting system, we can select a specific image to work with or stick to the textures in the material nodes. Using the material display option, we can see all the textures in the shader. This can help us if we want to fine-tune our diffuse map. Like painting some veins I missed the first time. Some of these details can be easily missed when painting, but the cavity map can be quite useful here. Okay, now let's try to fix another issue. When using the displacement modifier, we can select the strength and the mid level, but some areas like the ears, lips and eyelids need some fixing. What I'm going to do is to create a special vertex group to tell the modifier to stop affecting those vertices. In weight paint mode, we can see the entire mesh is red. That means all vertices have a weight of 1.0. All vertices weighting more than 0 will be displaced by the modifier accordingly to their value. Now I'm painting smaller values on the ears, so the modifier has less influence on those areas. Next, I do the same with eyelids and lips. Unlike the texturing in this model first version, I want to use a single image for most objects. So you can see I'm painting the teeth and gums in the same diffuse map I use for the skin. And the eyes will also use the same texture, so I'm letting blank space to fill in later. I'm going to use an alpha map and add on add mode and paint some details on the gums and some decay stains in the teeth. There, just some color variations. As you see, I have also painted the eye texture in the same image map for the skin and teeth. Well, that's it for now. In the next video I will make some facial expressions using shape keys. and some basic riggings to change the model's pose. Don't forget to subscribe. Until next time.